Hoy, chummers! Just wanted to take a moment and let you know about our Patreon. While we release episodes of Shadowrunnin on Empty every single week, we actually have a backlog of about 4 episodes at any given time, just to give us a little cushion in case we can't record on our schedule for whatever reason. You know, like holidays or bug spirits. If you're interested in getting access to the episodes early, as well as a bunch of other benefits like artwork for the show, news on changes or rollouts, and sneak peeks at other things coming up, 5 new yen a month over on patreon.com/critical_hits gets you full access to all of the bells and whistles. You can even get a shout out for your support at the end of every single episode of Sinless as well. So if you enjoy the podcast and you'd like to support our work as well as get tons of bonus perks, that's the best way to do it. Thanks for your time, and let's get back to the show.
Hey chummers, So Easy Mode here. I've been a GM of various games for the past 25 years. I'll be the host of the podcast, bringing some much needed information about the shadows.
Hey, I'm Austin. I play Kaze in the Sinless game, and I am excited to learn more about the lore.
Hello everybody, I'm Tyler, aka Captain Cozy. I play Zero on the Shadowrun actual play series, Sinless. It's time to get our lore going.
You guys ready?
Real quick, and if he cuts this, this, but I want to see if this picks up on the mic.
Oh, I heard that.
Baby.
Yeah. That was crisp.
Crisp on a Tuesday night.
Crisp on a Tuesday.
Fill me up, daddy.
Let's go. All right. Welcome back, chummers, to another Shadowrunnin on Empty. And today, our topic is going to be, what is a Shadowrunner?
Oh.
Is that anything like trying to figure out what is a juggalo?
Oh man, I really hope not, because I don't have any Fago, so and my face isn't painted. I feel like I can't.
Looking bad already. Are the Halloweeners juggalos?
How dare you?
That is an interesting question.
We do not associate with the Halloweeners, nor do we condemn arson or condone arson. We condemn arson. We do not condone arson.
I would say no, because the Juggalos don't exactly condone arson.
Yes, exactly.
Wow, thank you. I didn't. Fair. That is fair.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna go with no, just for the arson thing.
Sorry, my Halloweenies out there. That's one
my
less.
fellow Halloweenies. I'm so sorry.
Wait,
Redact me saying fellow. Redact me saying fellow.
So are you saying that you would rather be associated with the Halloweeners than you would with being the Juggalo?
No,
that's
wait.
Fucked
I
up.
didn't know. I can't believe we're having this conversation right now.
This is a whole different conversation.
You said
to
apologies
start
to my
out.
fellow Halloweeners. I just heard you say that.
Okay,
So-
at the time of recording, we're a month away from the Halloween season, so I'm starting to think about Halloween a lot. I listened to the Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack.
Yeah, and we call those people Halloweenies, not Halloweeners. They are completely different. How dare you?
What's up, my weenies?
It's all in the subtlety at the end of the suffix.
If you're out here weaning it up, bro, that's up to you, man. Word. But I just want to say to all of my fellow ninjas listening to this podcast, what up, fam? Whoop whoop. And hope everybody's doing good out there.
So Shadowrunning, huh?
And Ninja Vanish. Woo!
Smoke bomb.
Yeah, smoke bomb. All right. Well, you think that we would have started with what is a Shadowrunner for the podcast. But, we needed history and background and stuff first before we kind of got to this topic. But we're here now. So, obviously, we know a little bit, but we're going to learn some more.
Context is a word that comes to mind, and I think that having that makes this conversation a lot better. So I think that holding off until like the seventh episode, whichever one this is,
Sure,
probably the safe bet.
Numbers are a construct.
Words are made up,
Eels are aliens. Sorry, we're starting this podcast on a weird
these are
note.
all true. No, all
These
of this
are all
is true.
everything
Yeah.
is true.
Yep.
Put your tinfoil hats on now.
No, I keep your tinfoil hats on, my brothers and sisters out there. We're gonna Shadowrun with our hats on and our I was gonna say some stuff that I'm like, no, I don't want to say that on a recording.
Oh god.
This is fine.
All right,
Anyway.
just keep the tinfoil hats on, never take them off,
Yes.
because that's how we run the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Shiny and tin.
Yep.
Well, Shadowrunners are a wonderful niche group of the community in the Sixth World that
Yes, we
have
are.
turned to a relative life of crime.
Crime is subjective.
Technically, in the eyes of the law of the land, you are criminals. You have no sins.
What have we really done so far in Sinless that's been illegal?
Smash cut to bombs,
Arson,
kidnapping,
bombs,
arson,
kidnapping.
domestic terrorism.
Never mind the fact that I literally murdered 2 guys in the last episode of Sinless.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
That-
Spoilers.
What do you mean spoilers? This is coming out after that episode.
You don't know what
Come
order
on
people
now.
are listening into. You know the people who might be listening to us over on patreon.com / Critical Hits Live. They might be
There you go.
listening to the
Hey,
podcast
hey.
first and then the show.
Yeah,
Always
they
be
could be going
plugging.
backwards.
BP.
BP.
Yep. Guys, spoilers, I've murdered people. So I guess we'll get that one out of the way.
Okay, since
there.
we're having a confessional booth segment,
Here we go.
guys, I want to
Here we go.
confess I've killed many people.
Uh-huh.
And my Shadowrun character has also my Shadowrun character
Whoa.
has killed many people that he does not know at the time of recording. I do not know how many people have actually killed because bad stuff has happened. Okay. Besides killing bad.
You know what? I'm glad we're getting this all out.
Yeah.
At least Kaze can count his murders on one hand, Tyler, so that's on you.
I don't
okay?
know how you see that
That's
as a
on
badge
you.
of honor. You know, I'd rather my badge be clean and one of honor than whatever.
Clean is a relative. that's relative in this conversation.
Murder
I
changes
feel.
a man.
You
You go from a boy to a man.
Is that how that works?
I'm pretty sure it's in the Shadowrun cookbook.
Is that what they do in the Boy Scouts? Is that how you
You know,
become a man?
I mean,
You're out in the woods. You're by
Yeah.
yourselves.
you're out on a covert operation to kill some head of as technology.
Survival in finger quote merit badge. Yeah,
everybody
absolutely.
knows that clearly the Boy Scouts have been doing clandestine operations for as long as they've been in operation.
That's very true. I mean, yes.
Just how things escalate in Shadowrun, I like to think that there's a Boy Scout like
A militant
Shadowrun
Boy
group,
Scout.
a militant Boy Scout troop.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Guys, let me recommend to you this fantastic anime I just finished called Lycurus Recoil, and it has a lot of context with what we're talking about right now.
Oh boy, gonna have to.
Boy, and how? Okay,
Gonna have to put that one on the list.
it's a good time.
That's what
All
you
right.
come here for. You come here for lore, obscure anime references, and a little bit of darker insights into us as human beings.
And
Yeah.
and shout outs to my fellow juggalos. That's the other part of it. Yep. Mhm.
Hell yeah!
Magnets, bro.
so-
Magnets.
All right, so
Running shadows.
Running shadows. That's
How do
that's
they
what we're
work?
supposed to be talking about. Well, it all started once long ago. Back when the Megacorps learned that they couldn't just, have reckless abandon, I'm gonna knock out the little guy because I'm a bigger guy, and the corporate court stepped in and was like, come on, we can't do that. So blame as technology for the birth of Shadowrunners.
I blame as technology for a lot of things at this point. Then
Hell
you
yeah.
know, what's one more notch in the belt?
I have much like my character. I have been awoken to remember that I now love as technology because of their cool unit names.
Reference insert here. Blood Panthers.
Panthers.
It sounds so metal.
It's so metal. Come
It's
on.
very. It's one of those things where like the name in and of itself is good enough, and then given context, you're like, well, yeah, they're fucking commando vampires.
They're
like,
commando vampires.
How can
blood
that-
magic?
just when you thought it couldn't get any cooler, it honestly, it sounds like something that belongs in Danger 5 is what it actually sounds
Right?
like that sounds like something exactly out of Danger 5, and I think that's why I love it so much.
Thinking about it even more, there's probably even an elite amongst that unit that are vampire blood mages.
Oh, stop.
Absolutely.
Just had to throw that idea
Oh,
out.
yeah.
I don't know what
Oh,
you
yeah.
call them, like
Oh, yeah.
blood hawks.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think, like, what else is there? The serpent's fangs, like, what's a quaddle?
Yeah, they could
Reference
be
things.
quetzalcoatl's.
Leave some comments or tweet at us at
And let
Critical
us
Hits
know what
Live.
you think
Let us
it
know.
should be called.
What are your
I'm
favorite
interested to
elite
see.
covert ops murder units? So, as technology, Shadowrunners.
As technology helps create Shadowrunners, because as technology tried to just muscle out a smaller corporation, and by muscle out, I mean they scorched earth them out of existence. Remember back in our lore. And so the corporate court stepped in and was like, we can't do this to each other, right? This is going to get out of hand. Nothing's going to be left for anybody if we burn all the land. So backdoor deals were made, clandestine operations were needed. Who do you go to? You go to the deniable assets that are the criminals that don't have sins. They aren't in the system. They're living off the grid. This is what starts the Shadowrunners. And the name comes from doing the work in the shadows of these arcology buildings. And that's why you get the name Shadowrunner. Lore history dump. Whoa.
And it's specifically based on doing like back alley deals around the arcology.
Not just any arcology. I mean, any corporate building.
I see.
They do refer to them as arcologies, but we all know there's one specific arcology that stands out in our minds when we hear that, and that is the Renraku one.
In our hearts, so easy. Let's come on now. Not
Voice
just
of the
in our
people.
minds.
Lives on in infamy, really.
Renraku did nothing wrong.
I genuinely
just want to put that out there.
I genuinely didn't know that there was another arcology usage other than the arcology. So
yeah,
hey,
it's supposed to be a general term. It's just that the one arcology stands out for all of the dark deeds that happened within it.
Because the arcologies are supposed to be like the all-in-one like megacorp structures, right? Like that was supposed to be like the general term for their like operational housing and everything.
You house everybody in one building. It's all secure.
Yeah.
Air quotes around secure.
Yeah. Well, as the Shadowrunners have proven, mayhaps not.
Intrigue, subterfuge.
So generally, Shadowrunners are seen as the elite criminals of the Sixth World.
Okay.
Because when conflicts arise that they cannot be solved by legal means, both corporations, governments, and the people with too much money to throw around will hire somebody to do their dirty work for them.
Yeah, that checks out.
Shadowrunners also tend to come from all walks of life. They're not just the poor street kid growing up, or the one that was orphaned. Some of these people are actually ones that have unique skills that want to get out of corporate life, and they'll do anything to do that.
Okay.
Other people, sometimes, you come back from like the Desert Wars. What are you going to do? You're going to run the shadows.
Because you can't be a civvy no mo.
You seen too much in the sands.
He was in the shit. In the shit in perpetuity.
Now, are we going to get into the aliases? Because I know that that's a huge thing for Shadowrun, and I'm wondering if that's been a day one thing or what.
Well, I always assumed that the aliases were a thing because of the fact that you don't have a sin, so you don't technically have like a legal name.
That is correct.
Yeah.
You don't have a name. You go by what you want in the shadows, and when that name gets picked up and used by your other contacts, that's how generally people know you. Some people that do run the shadows have multiple different runner names.
Oh, that would make sense. Like, depending on the type of jobs that you would want to be like hired for, like maybe you have like a like a hacker persona and like a muscle persona and stuff like that.
You have to think too, a lot of runners your street cred is basically what you have to sell yourself. If
Mhm.
you don't have a good reputation, you don't get jobs, you don't get money.
Yeah. Also, you could, double dip against Megacorps if you have multiple aliases, because maybe, you do
Oh,
a job
interesting.
against Renraku as Shadow, and then they know that Shadow is the one who did it, but then you also have the persona of, Nightblade, who gets hired by Renraku to figure out what happened to Shadow, and then now you're just double dipping.
I can't believe you're doxing both of my other aliases.
Zero's other alternate aliases, Shadow and Nightblade.
Nightblade, and Death God.
You're forgetting the most powerful,
Uh-huh.
Darkwing Duck.
Oh.
How dare you invoke my sacred name?
Well, I was gonna say, as we know, all of Tyler's aliases are based off of rejected characters from '90s Image Comics, like Shadow and Nightblade and
Hell yeah.
Zero with a zero.
Yes, exactly. My fan fiction's made manifest.
All of these beautiful Jim Lee OCs don't steal.
Oh, so how does someone go about becoming a Shadowrunner?
Having nothing left to lose, I imagine, is part of the.
That's always a good place to start.
Uh-huh.
The number one thing that you have to have completed is you have to have your sin erased, and this can be very, very costly.
Yeah, I guess that is something that I guess we've never really touched on before, because like we've never really gone into it with our characters in Sinless as part of their backstory. I mean, some people's, like with Tyler's, it kind of leads into who he is as a character, and you're kind of just, it makes sense that that would be the case. But yeah, I guess that is something that I've never really thought about before, is actually like the removal of your sin.
Well, in Zero's case, the way that it works is he went into the clandestine services for the costs, and they're going to scrub him out completely.
Right. Yeah. Being a shady gun for hire seems like a pretty good way to get the government to remove it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For characters like Amazing and Loki, who grew up in the Barrens on the streets, they never got put in the system in the first place.
Oh, so you either start with nothing or you scrub what you have.
It's generally how it works.
Mm-hmm.
You can pay a decker to do it. It's going to be very costly, and you better hope that you picked a competent decker.
Or one that's also not just going to try to immediately sell you out as well.
Very true.
Depending on who you are.
Take the creds and run. So those are the big ways. Corporations can also wipe out your sin, but then you're most likely on the hook to them for a while. So if you don't mind being a corporate lapdog for a little bit.
How often is it that people get into Shadowrunning specifically off of like being hired by corps rather than just deciding that that's something that they want to do? Like what is the likelihood that if you run into another Shadowrunner that they are somebody who is working specifically for a corp rather than working like fully independent?
It's usually pretty slim, because I mean the corporation might keep a leash on you, but you'll still run independent because they don't want any information on their books.
The plausible deniability, right?
Yeah, you're complete deniable asset. So
I guess that
you don't have a steady you don't have a steady paycheck. They don't keep you on the grounds,
right?
Because that would defeat the whole purpose. That like why would they need that? They have a security force that covers that.
Right, exactly. Okay, yeah, that makes sense then. I guess
they'll definitely keep their hooks in you in some other way, though. They'll hold something over your head, obviously.
Yeah,
but yeah, a lot of other Shadowrunners just grew up from the dregs and the outskirts of society.
Yeah, that checks out.
But when you lose your sin, you're now a second-class citizen. You have no rights anymore. So if you're ever arrested and they ask for your sin and you can't produce it, then you have no rights. They can treat you however they want. You're no longer a citizen.
Dang.
Yeah. All the more reason to never get caught.
But that's part of the fun, right?
Right? Yeah. Woo! The other thing that comes with being a Shadowrunner is all of the different types of specializations that you can generally run into. Now, we all know the major one and the most popular, especially for the cyberpunk type genre, is the Street Samurai.
Hell yeah.
The dude that is wired up, chromed up, ready to slice and dice, or pulls guns out of their holsters faster than you can blink.
What kind of unimaginative nerds would want to just default to that class when you have all of Shadowrun available to you? Could you imagine?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I was gonna say above table, like how many of our group currently is like
Fit the Street Sam category?
Yeah.
Well, you've got Spider, Bear, Kaze.
Who?
Mhm.
Isn't Flounder also technically a Street Sam?
No.
No?
He's
No.
in
He has no
Adept?
chrome. Yeah.
Oh,
he's an adept.
because he's okay.
Also Zero, I believe, is technically a
Technically, yes.
a Street Samurai.
You fit the Street Sam category of...
And I was going to, fun fact, when I originally was starting on this grand campaign, I was going to do the Chrome Samurai kind of dwarf dude, and then we had a lot of them, as it turns out.
And then some other asshole,
So we'll get into all...
Who could imagine?
All the popular ones and the way they fit into kind of the Shadowrun team. Obviously, the Street Sams are there as your muscle, and they're going to be the ones that put out the damage. They're also the ones that are sporting the most expensive gear, usually.
Can confirm. But we also get like a shit ton of money to start with. So, I mean,
Yeah, you have to pay for all that cyberware that gets jammed into your bodies.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an investment.
One of the other popular tropes for the Shadowrunners, you have the mage / shaman, because you need to have somebody to sling those spells.
Okay, so I would like to know the difference, if you had to write it down. What's the main difference between a mage and a shaman?
Well, the easiest way is a mage is all book learning. It's actually something that's kind of taught, whereas a shaman, you subscribe to a specific totem, and that spirit totem usually manifests to you and teaches you.
Okay, so one of them is like you find it, the other one finds you, kind of thing?
Yes, kind of.
It's like, think of like a sorcerer versus a druid in D&D.
Yeah.
Sorcerers have like a wider range of spells that are spells that they learn, whereas druids are more like nature-based focused specialization type casters.
Also, the specialization is mages are going to sling a lot more spells, whereas shamans are going to have better control over spirits.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, mages can't summon spirits. They can only summon elementals.
Oh, but shamans can just summon any spirit?
Yeah, shamans can summon any spirit. And they don't have to do any prep beforehand, whereas mages have to prep and have their elementals on call and ready.
Oh, okay.
Shamans can just be like, hey, I need Spirit of the Sky, and we're outside. All right, great. Perfect.
Gotcha. Okay. So we got our magic users. We got our meatheads.
Got your meatheads. The next type you don't have in the group, but it is necessary sometimes. You got to have your deckers. The nerds that sit in the chair in front of the computer screen.
Peak adventuring.
In 3rd edition, they called it going out and doing the pizza run while the decker does their work. Which is kind of true, especially in the 3rd edition, where if you had a Decker in the team, generally you play a completely separate game just with them.
Whoa. Okay, so that's yeah. One of the things that I heard about Shadowrun when I was getting in RPGs was how, for some GMs, it's a nightmare because you're running separate games at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this is what the Decker was all about.
Yes, because going into the Matrix is its own unique experience, and it could be completely defined by the way the Decker has their perception filter set up on their deck, so they can have it look like however they want when they enter the Matrix, and then whatever their personal icon looks like, and you can have it look like anything because you're in the Matrix. Physics doesn't apply.
Okay.
And then running into nodes and everything, and hacking different grids. It all is its own kind of separate game, and the rest of the team really has nothing to do while the Decker is jacked in.
And okay, I know we're talking about Shadowrunners here, but I'm very curious now about this Decker thing. For Deckers, when they're in the net, or in the Matrix, does time move the same way?
I mean, not really, because you're moving at the speed of thought.
Oh, so it's very fast.
It's extremely fast because you're wired directly in when you're in the Matrix.
Yeah, because I was wondering, like, could the Decker be doing like an adventure concurrently with a party?
Yeah,
and I guess that does kind of answer it. They're just moving way faster.
Yeah, and in Shadowrun terms, that when a Decker is in the system or trying to hack into the building while the Shadowrunners are breaking into it, that's usually called hot decking.
Oh, okay, because it's like time sensitive and it's happening
you're
right
doing
there.
You're doing it as it's happening.
Okay, and not to put you on the spot here, but
sure,
for our listeners, perhaps may chance, could we see a Decker, I don't know, one shot or something, or because I'm curious. I am so curious, but I also know that in our campaign there were some things that we had to like pump the brakes on.
Yeah, having a Decker in the Sinless show would be a little difficult.
Oh, I don't even mean it in the show.
It'd be one-on-one, but we could do like a little dump jump into what decking is.
Yeah.
We've got characters that basically do that. I mean, that's Applejack's as a Decker. He's like our dedicated Decker pretty much at this point. We just use him as an NPC instead of an actual character. Yeah.
But I want to see what's going on.
It's all him jumping in, doing the runs or doing the research, and then getting that information back to you. You haven't had him along for a hot deck scenario because you haven't really run into one yet. But who's to say that doesn't happen in the future?
Give the people wanting more.
Yes.
I always just imagine that it's the scene in Grandma's Boy when the guy goes into JP's office and he's laying in the chair flat with the 4 screens above him, typing on the keyboard with loud techno music blaring. I imagine that that's just what Deckers do.
I mean, you're not far off. That's pretty close.
All right, sweet. Also, I just always want to reference an opportunity to reference Grandma's Boy whenever I can, because fucking love that movie.
It's a great movie to reference.
I
appreciate it.
All right, cool. All right, glad we got that covered.
This decking kind of changes as the different systems come out, like 4th edition, 5th edition, and 6th edition. And towards the end of 4th and into 5th, you get the Technomancer, which is supposed to be the Decker who's able to wirelessly interact with the Matrix without having to have a comm link or a cyber deck. They just naturally can see the Matrix.
Wild.
Which I think is super crazy, and
yeah,
I have my own kind of caveats and things that I would change about Technomancers, and that could be like a whole thing that we get into.
Gotcha.
They're interesting. They're interesting, but at the same time, I would place some restrictions and
I
some
I
interesting things for them to deal with.
I guess like my main thing with technomancers that I just don't really understand is it's like, what is the benefit of a technomancer over a decker? Like, is it just the fact that they can be in the matrix whenever they want to, and that's the only difference? Because like outside of that,
Mhm.
I don't really like understand, because it doesn't seem like they're characters that would like be more combat oriented than like a decker would, you know? Like, is
Mhm.
it literally just the fact that they can connect to the matrix wirelessly and that's it? Is that the main difference between them?
Well, that's what gave them the edge first,
Mm-hmm.
is that they could wirelessly connect to the Matrix before Matrix went wireless.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, they were ahead of their time.
And then afterwards, them being able to interact with the Matrix faster than what deckers can because they naturally are just connected to it.
Okay.
So that's what gives them the edge
Mm-hmm.
over some deckers.
Interesting. Okay.
Deckers
So-
are a whole beast all their own, sounds like.
They really are. But yeah, that's the main difference. And like I said, I would change some things about technomancers as well. If you're interested in hearing about that, we can get into a whole different thing later.
Yeah.
The next most important type is you got to have your wheelman and the person that's going to be your getaway driver, also called the rigger.
Oh.
They're the person that's going to control, that will have the souped up van or souped up sports car ready to go, or they're going to control the drones and be a drone rigger. There's two different types.
Oh.
You can dabble into both, but usually people will specialize one way or the other.
Okay, this is new to me.
Yeah, we haven't really done a whole lot with riggers in Sinless yet.
Yeah. It was another one I had considered.
They are kind of their own unique beast, and building their vehicles can be very time consuming.
Really?
Yeah, but you can end up with some very cool things, like sports cars with extra armor, and they've got pop out turrets like James Bond cars.
And it's all like remotely controlled?
Yeah.
Wow. That is cool.
Usually riggers will also have the ability to directly interface with their vehicles, so they can drive by just plugging themselves in. They don't need a steering wheel.
That's insane.
And not only cars, they could do that with aircraft as well.
What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know. You see through sensors, so it gives you 360-degree vision. Let's talk about disorienting.
The fly vision, yeah.
Exactly.
My favorite.
And of course, you're not going to be able to get jobs without somebody smooth talking and schmoozing and being able to negotiate the price for your team. And that's where we see the social Shadowrunner come in, also called the Face.
Ah, yes, the cult leader.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wrong.
Aha.
They can be sometimes.
You heard it here first, folks. Not a cult.
Hashtag not a cult, everybody. Come on. We gave him his props. He's doing good. He hasn't had the Kool-Aid yet, right?
No, because he's too busy dispensing it.
It's in the mail.
It's in the mail.
Jotunade.
Jotunade. Oh my god.
Taste the rainbow freedom.
Ugh.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, your faces are going to be who gets you the payout. They know the most people. Usually they're going to have a very extensive contacts list, because you got to know the people to be able to get where you want to go.
Also makes sense.
Yeah, that checks out.
And then you have the adept, which is the magic muscle. Usually adepts are going to be of the physical variety, which gives them unique powers to be able to enhance themselves with. And adepts come in all different types of flavors. You can have the physical adept that really excels at close quarters combat, and so they'll make flashy moves with all of their kung fu or whatever specialized martial art that they're into. But then suddenly you'll see their hands like catch blue fire.
That's cool.
Now they're throwing blue fire punches, or they can leap from large distances, or they can walk across a telephone line or rope or chain with ease. Adepts can be pretty cool.
Yeah, to equate it again to like a D&D class, they would be like a monk, like a martial character who is enhanced by like spiritual or magical prowess.
A martial spellcaster.
Martial spellcaster. Now, do adepts draw upon different magic compared to like, you know, a spell slinging guy or a shaman?
Yeah, adepts can't sling spells. All of their magic is focused usually on their body or manipulating their body in some way. They don't actually cast spells.
Oh, interesting.
Now, there is a type that's called an aspected magician that is an adept that has learned to cast spells. But these are extremely rare, and you don't see a whole lot of them in the Shadowrun community. And if you do, they are definitely gobbled up very quickly because people want them. Because
I see.
who doesn't want to have a mage that can throw like a
bus at someone?
Yeah, and then also power themselves up like a Dragon Ball Z character and lift a bus.
I always imagined that adepts was just like it's Bane. Bane is an adept.
Oh.
I see. You were talking about
You merely
me.
adopted the Shadowrun.
I've been molded by it. I tasted the magic when it first came.
I mean that entire, like, you could just copy paste that entire quote in here and it's still pretty appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see Bane being a physical adept, definitely with the power to beef up his own body, because that is something that some adepts can do.
I wondered what would break first, your body or your spirit companion.
They'd be doing it with magic instead of doing it with
illicit
drugs.
Narcotics. Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, that's
fair.
fair.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you still wanted to do it with
difference.
illicit narcotics, you could do it being a street Sam.
Whoa.
That is true. Yeah.
Don't try to push me to be a 6th world roidy magoo.
All you need is an injection rig.
Don't you remember, like, when we would go on the early runs and, like, before we would go in anywhere, we always had Loki railing up some Nova Coke to get himself all pumped up?
Oh no, we're spreading the propaganda.
That
again.
did not happen.
I remember. I was there. I was in the room with him. He offered it to me and I said, "No, thank you, friend."
I was in the before 4 times.
Before he cleaned himself up.
Yep.
I love that Loki's not here to defend himself, so
No.
we're just
and each of these different basic types have some, subgroups. Like there is something called a combat decker, where they don't specialize specifically in decking. They have some combat ability, so that they're sort of able to go on runs and do decking on site instead of remotely. But they're pretty few and far between. And as games, again, as the settings progressed into 4th, 5th, and 6th edition, you see the combat decker less and less, and it just slides more into you're a decker with combat abilities.
Wait, is this combat decker or combat riggers?
Well, that's the other thing too. Riggers actually start to fall off a little bit once we get into 5th and 6th edition, and riggers and deckers can basically kind of do the same thing. Yeah. They can get a lot of the same skills and same cyberware that they need.
My understanding is that, like, there was a distinct difference between a rigger and a combat rigger, but over time they kind of incorporated the combat elements into the
that's what happened over time, especially getting into 5th and 6th edition. They're very interchangeable with being able to both hack and operate drones.
Austin, you had a question?
No, I'm just I assumed that a combat decker would just be like Iron Man, right? like more or less.
But is it like they can fight as
No.
in like physically?
No, because
Or-
they don't. Most deckers use drones, right? Like it's pretty much all drone
Well,
based.
riggers use
Or
drones.
riggers use drones. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Deckers were traditionally the hackers.
stayed at
So
home.
they use like slap punching.
Mm-hmm.
Then okay, I got you.
Nerd rage is what they used.
Nerd rage.
Yep.
That's hilarious. Now, is this something that people like say that you're a like existing, I guess, an existing rigger in our edition? Is it something you specialize into, or is it something that you choose from the go?
It's something you'd probably specialize into as you build your character from the beginning. Like if you're going to do a combat decker, you have that in mind when you're building the character at the start. So you
Oh.
might sacrifice a little bit of your hacking ability, which maybe you can make up for by having a really good deck to run with in the Matrix, so that you can still run and gun with the rest of the team.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, the reason I'm asking is selfishly
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know if Street Sam have specializations, but
Street Samurai have specializations in that usually they go one of two routes. You've got your melee monsters who are going to focus on either wielding a melee weapon in their hand or having their hands or the cyber implants that they get to be the way that they handle and deal with most of the encounters they come up with. And then you'll have the gun nut Street Sams, which specialize in long range combat, pistols, submachine guns, rifles, and all of the glistening, wonderful tech that goes along with it to make them better shots.
absolutely.
So yes, everybody, all of these different categories can have little bits of subcategories. Like even mages, you can specialize in a mage. You can specialize in mage as a mage by being really good at casting, but really bad at summoning or conjuring. So you're not going to be able to bring in elementals or spirits very well, but your spells are going to be extra heavy.
Oh, interesting. Okay, gotcha. So it's subcategories to kind of have you stand apart from your other I guess classes, because to my knowledge, like I believe I heard there's not really classes per se.
No, there aren't. It's all really in how you want to build your Shadowrunner. And I like that. Like these are just the guideline names that you're going to hear in the shadows and generally what they're relating to.
You need shorthand.
Yeah. So if you hear a combat monster out on the street swinging swords or firing dual pistols with ridiculous accuracy, you're going to think Street Samurai.
Okay, gotcha. Until they summon an elemental somehow.
Yeah, if you hear somebody out here throwing spells and bring in live fire that runs and attacks people, you're going to think mage.
Gotcha.
So they're just the basic terms that you'll hear for the different types that you have in the shadows. Whatever you actually want to go by, that's completely up to you. Like I've built and played a character before in Shadowrunner that was kind of a street samurai, but I thought of him more as a weapon specialist.
Okay, it's just like it was easier to
just say street sam.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
It's easier to group them than to nitpick about,
well, this isn't this thing.
Yeah, to be a specific class. And that gets away from things like other role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, where you have the specific class,
right?
And it gives you a bunch of abilities and everything. In Shadowrun, it's always been more freeform to me in that you can build however you want. If you want the cyberware, you can jam the cyberware in there and swing your swords around or deck or rig, because that's generally what you're going to have the cyberware for. I have played a mage before that has had some cyberware,
but only some.
Yeah, not very much. Just enough to sacrifice 1 point of magic.
Gotcha. Which we can delve into
when we talk about magic.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Oh, I see what you're going for here. So those are the different types that you'll see or you'll hear about when you run the shadows. Those are the base archetypes, I'd say. And then what's it like to live in the shadows?
Probably pretty shady.
It's a much harder life unless you have a really good fake sin. Most Shadowrunners you're probably going to find in the outskirts of society, in places like the Barrens or the Puyallup Wasteland. They're out on the fringes because a lot of them are either living in hotels where they don't need a sin, they can just slot some nuyen and get a room, or they're squatting, or they specifically set up a base of operations that's out away from where Lone Star patrols don't normally come.
Okay, so we're not going to see just Joe Schmo Shadowrunner working a day job kind of thing.
Most Shadowrunners don't have day jobs.
Okay.
You're running the shadows for a reason. You're expecting to try to get those big paydays from those corporations wanting to stab each other in the back. You're not going to also go to Stuffer Shack and put on your apron every day.
Oh, yeah. I guess that does also make you an easy target if there's like a mark on you.
Yeah, people know where to find you. That's usually never good.
Right.
That's the last thing you want. That's why you'll see most Shadowrun teams will usually have some kind of place to meet up that is far away from regular society. That's not saying that there won't be some brazen teams that'll try and set up somewhere in downtown or something like that.
It's just not the norm.
It's usually not the norm. Of course, it could be like you guys too, who are kind of spread out all over the place.
Yeah.
In Sinless, you've got your squatters, and then you have some people that actually have apartments.
We genuinely have. I didn't know how much of a big deal it was when we started, and I'm pretty sure outside of Jotunheim, like Zero's homeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does a Majin have his own apartment? I'm trying to think
I think
of
he does.
I think he does.
Okay, is it me and him? Are we the only two people that don't live in Jotunheim?
I think so. Yes.
Wait, well, Bear and Spider.
No,
also
they
have-
moved.
No, they
out.
moved.
They
Yeah.
moved
They got
because
rid-
bad.
Because bad man.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Because Badman.
Okay, bad man, bad. Okay,
Yeah.
right. But they did.
Yes, they did at one
They
point.
did. Okay,
And
and
then
then
Badman bad.
bad
And
man,
then
bad.
bad.
And I think Loki also, if I recall, had a place.
No.
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 Oh wait. Oh, didn't he? Oh, okay.
Otto
Okay,
had
cool.
Otto had a place and then just moved to Jotunheim.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. And nothing bad happened.
Nothing bad has happened, right? One of the other things to take into account when running the shadows, that's usually a dangerous job. You're gonna get cut, burned, slashed, shot. So where are you gonna go take care of that? Because you can't just walk into the hospital.
Hmm.
You don't have a sin.
No.
What will you do?
What will I do, Easy? I've been shot or stabbed or burned.
It's time to call your good old street doc. Maybe he's got a medical degree. Who knows?
But he's got the supplies and some semblance of skill necessary.
He's got the supplies, some semblance of skill, and he's willing to fix you up for a decent rate.
Neat.
Now wait, so easy. Are you trying to tell me that not every Shadowrunner has super platinum dock wagon coverage?
Yes, not all of us can afford to spend on super platinum dock wagon coverage.
I'm learning a lot tonight.
Just like not every Shadowrunner usually has a fake sin.
You know, that's I will say honestly, I think that's the most surprising thing is the fact that it's not like normal for all Shadowrunners to have a fake sin, because I just assumed that they would. Like, it just for some reason that just makes sense to me.
Some of them might, but it might not be enough to get through some scanners. Like,
Right.
it depends on where you go. The higher class of the neighborhood you're in, the better the scanning equipment.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then you got to contend with, the locals when you're out in the Barrens. That means the gangs.
Ah, lovely.
And remember, in the Shadowrun lore, gangs are pretty rampant.
And we've never had any problems with any gang so far at all in our current playthrough.
No, that has never happened.
Mm-hmm. Because we're friends with everybody.
Yes. Yes, we make friends very easily.
Is this how we do it? Is this how we not spoil things?
Yeah, I'm
trying to make sure that we're
I
that
have
we're
come
on the same
to
page.
on air.
What are we doing here now? Is this am I doing this right or
I mean, hopefully by now people will have known that you guys wiped out 3 splinter factions of gangs in your area.
Whoa.
You know,
Whoa.
I'm
Hang on. We wiped out 2.
2.
Okay. Thank you.
Integrated 1.
Technically,
Reformed 1.
technically, that gang doesn't exist anymore. That name. So, in essence, you wiped out 3.
We're talking semantics here.
I'm very much
Galahad-
talking semantics.
Galahad would like to have a word with you, sir. He's still alive.
I want to throw out there that our good old editor, if they can at all put in the notes of what spoilers for what episodes we're talking about, that'd be cool, but that's also a lot of work.
That is a lot because there's in a lot of different episodes.
Yeah. So hey, you're rolling the dice when you're listening to Shadowrunning on Empty.
I
Go
just
listen
like-
to the podcast.
I just like to assume that everything is,
Everyone knows everything.
Talk aboutable here. And
Yeah.
if you're not caught up with the podcast,
What are
why?
you doing?
Why?
Yeah,
That's
come
my
on.
question.
Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go. Get
Yeah.
it. Get it going.
Come on. Jesus, it's only like 70 hours of content to catch up on at this point. I don't understand what the problem is.
Look, it's almost like 40 episodes. Come on.
Yeah.
What's up?
Jesus, guys. It's pretty easy.
Yes.
Get it together.
Get your
Anyway.
shit.
Anyway, after we're done lambasting our audience.
We love you guys, seriously.
And if you are caught up on Sinless, you are the best. Keep doing what you're doing and know that we appreciate
You're
you.
probably really sexy.
Yeah, and if we ever meet in person, let me know. I will kiss you on the mouth. Consensually.
Podcasts are legally binding.
Wow. You heard it first here.
Absolutely.
Kaze
I
mouth
stand by
kiss.
that statement.
Kaze-
Kaze's mouth kisses. Coming
Kaze's mouth
soon.
kisses.
To only
Coming
the truest
soon.
of fans.
Coming soon to true fans at conventions near you.
Yep.
Oh man.
Consensually. Again,
I'm sure this will
I
age
wanna
so
make sure.
well down the
No,
road.
hey,
oh my God, I
yeah.
can't wait.
consensually.
Yeah, I heard you.
All right.
So how do the Shadowrunners get their work? It's not all through corporations. You will also deal with the lovely title of fixers.
Mhm.
These are the people that are going to have the jobs or have the pulse on people that are in need and have the money to pay for your skilled services.
I don't know where we would be today without Johnny Fastfingers. Old reliable.
Much love, Johnny Fastfingers.
Mm-hmm.
Pour one out for Johnny.
Whoa,
Fastfingers.
dude, spoilers! Jesus!
Are we
God!
spoiling or aren't we spoiling?
God damn, dude! I'm trying to bury the lead.
Hey man, we're speaking to the mouth kissers out there, okay? So
Hey,
let's
hey,
get
you know
going.
what?
Yeah,
They
that's what
already
we're
know.
doing.
Yeah, they already know.
They've already preemptively poured one out. All right, they
Word.
don't need to be told. They already know. They know what's
And
up.
then on top of that, when you have the specialized gear that you've gotten your hands on, how do you sell it?
How do I sell my illicit gear?
Can't go on eBay.
What's
Are you
that?
sure?
Yeah,
What-
I'm
wh-
very
what-
sure.
What about Matrix Craigslist?
I mean, that could be a crapshoot. How
love-
much
I
do
love
you
to think
trust?
That the site is just called Matrix Craigslist.
Matrix Craigslist. Yeah, it's exact. It's
One of the
where you
lesser
can-
known megacores.
where you can either get a sofa for free or hire Shadowrunners. Like that's what it's for.
Well, sometimes both.
Sometimes both. Por qué
Sometimes
no los
both.
dos? You know?
You're most likely going to go through the fences.
Mm.
These are the guys that are willing to buy the illegal and illicit tech because they have somebody that wants it or is after it. When you're working for your corporation, the guy giving you the jobs is always going to be known as Mr. Johnson.
Really?
That is the baseline term. When a Shadowrun team is handed jobs and deals with somebody from a corporation, they're usually dealing with a Mr. Johnson.
Wow, so a lot of our guys we're getting jobs from are kind of messing up.
Or I'm just making them super unique.
Well, again, why not both? But I'm just like,
Yeah.
Are they
never know.
telling us their names? Their
Are they their
world
names?
Christian names? Who even am I?
Have you even tried to look into that? I don't think you have.
Oh no, I'm gonna put on blast here, and he's so right. I'm a fraud.
Your reputation is everything in the shadows. If you got a bad rep, nobody's going to want to touch you. And that could all depend on how you're dealing with your jobs, too. If you're going in guns a-blazing all the time, well, you're only going to be approached about jobs where going in heavy is needed.
Because he got a reputation.
Go figure, most Shadowrunners don't retire.
But why?
Because they don't invest in their 401ks.
Oh,
or,
no.
That's definitely what it is. They don't
Or
have good
build out their
401k.
stock portfolio. Yeah.
They're not getting enough into those CDs.
That's exactly why.
The trend coin.
Yeah. They try
That's the
to
only
invest.
reason.
They tried to invest in the electronic market.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency wasn't their thing. It definitely has nothing to do with bullets being shot at them or breaking in illegally to corporately owned buildings and drones, lasers, landmines.
I just like to put it out there for for posterity. A good Shadowrunner doesn't get shot, so
wow.
I'm just
wow.
I'm just throwing that one out there.
Wow.
So
I feel like you're putting some other of the team on
molten
blast.
hot takes on this podcast.
Wait, who on our team's been shot? Has any? I don't think anybody on our team's been shot. Have they? Am I forgetting something? I mean, spoilers, obviously, but also.
Well, spoilers for me and my goldfish brain as well, because I genuinely don't remember. But I'm trying to remember, like, every time someone's been injured. I mean,
you've been shot at enough.
Yeah, but I haven't been shot. Therefore, I would like to think that the statement still stands so easy. Thank you very much, Your Honor. I rest my case. None of us have been shot because we're so good.
We're so fast we could dodge bullets.
Yep, exactly. That's why I played a street samurai.
Well, clearly I need to step my game up in Sinless and just start handing out automatic weapons.
That's not the case. That's not true. Yeah, I don't think that's what anybody here was saying.
You sure?
Yep, pretty sure. Yep.
I don't know. It sounds like what you want to have happen.
All I was saying is that I'm pretty sure that we've been doing a decent job at our jobs, and that's all I was trying to say. And
I like to think that down the road,
put in my mouth about
this
what
will
I've
be this will be the episode prior to the bloody rage that occurs in a couple episodes
prior to, and then the Halloweeners
bloodbath
had
episode.
automatic weapons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Fun fact: the Halloweeners.
Fun.
Generally, like to use fire.
Yes.
Yeah. That is quite a fun and fiery fact.
It is
one that we have experience with.
So until the sixth world it comes up with AK-47s that can shoot fire bullets, we should be fine, is what I'm hearing.
Well, I mean that already exists. It's called incendiary rounds.
Don't tell the Halloweeners that.
Need to though? Yeah, do they know about those? You can just say no. No, you can just say no. It's okay.
Just lie to me.
Spoilers.
No, you're not lying to me. I need you to lie to me.
Yeah, right.
Spoilers.
Oh no.
I don't want to ruin my surprises. Come on.
You tease. You good host, you.
I try. So knowing what Shadowrunners are and a little bit of how they have to live day to day, where it's very scrape that new yen together to make sure that you could get by. What would you say your Shadowrun archetype would be?
Aside from the characters in our campaign?
Yeah, aside from the characters in campaign.
What
would you actually like to be in the sixth world as a Shadowrunner?
Oh, man. I have one that I feel very strongly about, but I would love to know what Austin has cooking.
Wow, way to just pass the
Oh yeah.
buck, dude.
Oh yeah, baby.
I
Oh
see
yeah,
what you're
baby.
doing.
Put
You
me in that
know,
Kaze dome.
and I would love to give you the answer to that question,
Yeah?
but I'm really wondering what So Easy would want to do if he was in the sixth
see?
world.
Okay.
Listener, what would you like?
Yeah, write
Tell
in,
us,
and we'll
write
come
us
back to this
in.
question eventually.
I know what I would like to do, but I also know what I would probably end up being.
Mm,
Like, I would
Okay.
love to be a mage.
Oh sure.
Yeah. Throwing spells, summoning elementals, that would be super cool. I have to say, though, I would most likely end up being the face.
mm.
I'm the
Just because you're
person that's
so
going to
dang
know.
likable.
Well, I attribute it to I just know a lot of people.
Because you're so likable.
It's also a
I
good
guess.
also a good
I have
reason.
that.
That's
I have
fair.
that face. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have that friendly face
You have that
advantage.
face, you know?
So yeah, I would love to be a mage
Okay.
and sling spells and delve into the meta planes and all that fun, crazy stuff. But I'd probably end up being the face.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, Austin, I have answers.
Uh-huh.
But if you have anything, you let me know.
Okay. Yeah.
How you feeling?
Uh-huh.
How you feeling?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I
You
mean,
need time?
yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Go
So
ahead. Go ahead.
I have a type. Austin knows this. I have a type. And that delves into RPGs as well. I love me some muscly characters.
Okay.
And the idea that I could be muscly, but even more magically muscly, leans me hard into doing into an adept. Because that just seems like the best of both worlds, honestly. Without knowing too much about the potential. What's up?
Who doesn't want a Goku power up, right?
You show me someone who doesn't want a Goku power up, and I'll show you a liar. That's what I have to say to that. And that right there is like, oh, I'd love to do that. Now, knowing the kind of person I am as well, I feel like I would either be a face, or I feel like it would be something more like a rigger or a decker, like something that's adaptable to the scenario, but also because I could stay at home and eat Cheetos.
Then yes, a rigger or decker would fit that.
Sick.
The Cheeto fluff on all the control.
Oh, you know it, baby. Oh, you know it.
Why are all your drones covered in orange dust? Don't ask about it.
It's my brand, okay? You'll need to know that when Cheeto Puff 5000 is coming for them, it's from me.
I was gonna say
Puff.
The Death Puff.
Or your runner name would be Chester.
Oh my
Chester.
gosh. Yes.
But the S's are dollar signs.
Oh my god, you know too well. Oh, you calling Chester? You want my services? I got
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
Dangerously competent. That would be your slogan.
Dangerously competent. Okay, I already know. I don't want to answer for you, but there's no way in the sixth world, seventh world, whatever infinite horrible dimensions there may exist in Shadowrun, there's no way you're not a face.
There's
no way.
I think you're right. Like, I think you are right on that.
Heavy is the cross to bear, my friendly friend.
It is. And if we didn't already have our face going into this campaign, I probably would have gone for that role. But yeah, realistically, it would probably be a face, and if not a face, it would probably be a decker.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that what you would want?
No, I would, because that just matches me. Like, it's people that have met me before get very exhausted having conversations with me. So like, I would think that, yeah, that's probably the most realistic take, would be that I would be a face for it. I do think that it would be fun to try to also do a decker, only because I could see kind of playing the same role as a face, but specifically in the Matrix.
Oh,
interesting.
Well, that could work out because there are some places that have matrix casting where your matrix avatar can appear in the location.
Like a hologram.
Yeah, like it's a
Yeah.
hologram.
Wow.
So you could just project yourself that way to like meet with contacts and get info that way. So yeah, I think that either one of those would probably be the route that I would end up going. Yeah.
In third edition, actually, Hong Kong, or not Hong Kong, Korea is the most matrixly active nation
That checks out.
to the point where you can walk around live on their streets as your matrix avatar.
That's
Whoa.
cool.
That's how intense they build up their grid, and that was in third edition. So imagine all the way up to
Jesus.
sixth edition now.
Yeah, by the time that you bring in like technomancers.
Mhm. It's probably a Decker and Technomancer mecha.
Oh,
A Tekka, if you will, or
A
Deca.
Deca, you know, whatever.
Deca. Deca, Deca.
I'm pretty sure that that's the noise that orc guns make in 40k.
Deca, 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 Deca.
That's a whole different thing. But yeah, and that's also something else that we can dive into later, is going into the shadows of Asia,
Ooh.
learning about what's going on that side of the world.
We've learned in the last couple episodes that there's a lot. There's
Some
a lot
shit.
going on.
There is
Some
a lot.
shit is what's going on.
There is a lot. So while we're on this, what would you do in the sixth world kick? Where would you live?
Oh man.
Knowing everything that's going on, where would you want to live?
Better question is, where would I survive?
Not Chicago, obviously.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Man.
Oh man, staying far away from that place.
Now, is this under the pretenses that we are working as a runner, or just if we were like a normal civvy?
Good question. Let's separate it, and we'll do one for each.
Okay.
So one if you're a Shadowrunner, and one if you're just a normal wage slave.
If I was a normal wage slave, I'd probably go to California, because it
California
just
free
is-
state?
Yeah, the free state, because it has its own independence at that point.
Mm.
You probably are pretty set in terms of like good weather all year round. You know, you're right on. You got the beaches that you get to enjoy.
Yeah, you
And
just have
if-
to
and
worry
if-
about the invading Japanese army. That's all.
Well, I mean, you know, we live in a constant fear of that at all times anyway. So you know, it's just. But I think that would just be like, at that point, if you're going to be working for a megacorp, you might as well work in a megacorp in California anyway. Like, why live in a shittier part of the US if you're going to be selling out and being a wage slave for a megacorp anyway? So I think Cali would probably be my answer to that. If being a Shadowrunner, honestly, I think it would be cool to be somewhere out of the US. I think being like an international Shadowrunner would be pretty cool. Just because of the fact that I'm a huge weeb in general, I would probably go with Japan. Also because it's where Best Megacorp Renraku is located. So
I see.
that helps out. But I think that would be cool. Or also, like, now that Europe is, well, I mean, I guess not in the current timeline. Europe's still, because when do the Desert Wars start?
Oh, they're happening during our timeline in
It's during our timeline. Okay, so
yeah,
now
that's going on.
Now that Russia is no longer trying to take over all of Europe, Europe would probably also be pretty chill to like go and be a runner in. Like, I want to know, like, what is it like trying to be like a Shadowrunner in like France? You know, like, I think that would be kind of cool.
And that's something that we'll be talking about when we get to Shadows of Europe.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're just teasers
breaking them
on
up by
teasers.
continents. Let's go.
Got all the teasers.
We're
ready
going
there.
that worldwide Shadowrunning tour, ladies and gents.
Yes,
Heck
the
yes.
Shadowrun round the world, if you will.
I will.
And we will.
And I will. But I think that would be kind of cool. Like something in Europe, I think would also just be cool to be a Shadowrunner in, because it also seems like it's entirely different than like what we've seen.
Oh yeah,
with Sinless. So I think that, like, from a not knowing perspective, it would be interesting to kind of get that type of view and be able to experience
yes, definitely,
out of American Shadowrun culture.
Really quickly for all the listeners, if you're interested in kind of seeing what that's like, you can play the 2 Shadowrun games that were brought out by Harebrained Schemes that take place in different parts of the world. You have Shadowrun Hong Kong and what was the second one that came out?
Dragonfall.
Dragonfall, which takes place in Germany.
Mm-hmm. And where
it
does
gives you a little
Shadowrun?
bit of taste of the culture.
Where does Shadowrun Hong Kong take place?
I believe in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, sweet. I just wanted to make sure that it was like a who's buried in Grant's tomb situation,
Right. I completely
Who's to say?
You never know. It's best
You never
to ask
know
about these things.
Clarification is key, is all I'm saying.
But I will say that both of those games do a very good job in portraying the areas and what they would be like. So
okay.
They
So if
do
you want
good.
some,
Can confirm.
And
tactile-
plus both stories are pretty great.
Hey, there you go. Boom.
Ba-boom.
Now sponsor us, cowards. Tyler, where would you
Yes.
like to live and run?
Oh man. So I'm gonna crib the answer of saying that Weeb Town. I would love to be in Japan. Saying, like, assuming that everything is not gonna kill me immediately. If I was shadow running, something about shadow running in China just seems so interesting, just because there's like such a like an influx, a conflux of characters there. And
I will say that in the lore it does kind of go back to being very mystic.
Even more so with me wanting to be an adept.
Yeah, so it would fit perfectly.
Yeah, that's what I would say. There's also my continuing desire to know more about Lothwir. So I would be interested in seeing if I could curry any favor with
with the gold dragon himself.
The gold dragon himself, yeah. Yeah, that's where I would hope for.
Okay. I would probably stay in the UCAS living normally. I know it doesn't seem very grand, but I feel I'm going to stay in the relatively safe area.
It's a good place.
Not a bad idea.
That's a good way to do it.
What, you want to survive?
I know, right? What was I thinking? Running, I would probably run Germany as a runner. I like that area. I like the lore that's laid down there and everything. And there is a lot going on in Europe in the Shadowrun timeline. So plenty to keep busy. So
yeah,
great for runners. And going back to what you said, Austin, about being an international runner, those are things. You can get your reputation up high enough to where you could technically start going international. You definitely have to know the people, though.
Right.
That's because moving is going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
You can't just jump on a plane normally because you don't have a SIN. So knowing people that are going to smuggle you around,
I didn't even think about that.
Highly sought after.
Yeah.
Knowing smugglers and smuggling routes is good. If you get picked up by a corporation, usually they'll fly you out themselves for the specific meetup. But being an international runner is definitely something that you really have to work really hard at.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Not a lot of people make it in that game either.
Yeah, that also just makes sense, because I would also imagine like the culture shock of going to a new place and like, how do their shadow running traditions work, like
language.
Yeah, are you gonna walk into a bar and inadvertently offend somebody and then get shot in the face trying to ask if you could get a job, like
Well, I mean, that's why you have to have that high rep, so that you're well off enough to know what to do when you go into some of these new areas, because you are right. As a Shadowrunner, you're getting dumped into something that you're not used to. You don't know what the pulse of the street is when you get there. You don't know what all the slang is that they're people are going to go by. So
Yeah.
that's why being international is very prestigious and sought after in some of the Shadow community, but is also very hard to maintain. And that goes back to the whole thing of like Shadowrunners retiring. It's not really heard of. Some of them are lucky enough to squirrel away enough money to where they can actually sort of go legitimate with being able to afford a decent fake sin to allow them to start their own kind of business. And honestly, a lot of those types of Shadowrunners that sort of go legitimate, you'll find them as either smugglers or they're going to be arms dealers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's still technically a link into the Shadow world, but they're not having to go out and do the jobs themselves anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I just thought that was interesting that you'd go international and bring that up.
Yeah, I think that would just be kind of cool. And like,
oh yeah, definitely.
You know, in within, you know, real life, like I've seen what the US has to offer. Yeah, it's fine. Like,
well,
you know.
Well, if you have the opportunity to be an international man of mystery, why wouldn't you take it?
Yeah, exactly. Like you go to Europe and you get Universal Dock Wagon, right? Like that's got to be a thing. So,
oh man,
why would you not want to take advantage of that?
I imagine it's still just Dock Wagon.
Why do you gotta crush my dreams? You know, I just
look. They're a corporation that does exist in Shadowrun, and they obviously span the globe. It would definitely still just be Dock Wagon.
That is fair.
So easy mode, beguiler of wills, crusher of dreams.
I'm just trying to tell you like it is.
I don't like it like it is. I want it to be like I like it.
Well, unfortunately, the shadows don't always work the way you want them to.
The shadows never work the way I want them to.
True.
That's definitely something else that we'll have to get into as well. The Orc Underground. You
just keep throwing out these phrases like once an episode where I'm just like, well, that's a thing that I never knew existed, and now I'm fascinated by its existence.
It is something that exists in the Seattle Metroplex. They have the Orc Underground. You will get a lot of Shadowrun safe havens in the Orc Underground. You'll also have a decent amount of runners come from that Orc Underground, which is what it sounds like. It's an orc community that has come together that lives and operates in the old destroyed town that is under Seattle.
Wow.
So it's like the mutants in New York and
yeah, it's like the mutants in New York
in Futurama. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. It's exactly like that.
All right, cool.
But the Orc Underground, they've actually managed to expand it, which I thought was really cool in the lore, where they have tunnels kind of going under some of these corporate enclaves.
Wow.
Slight spoiler for the Arcology. There's a connection to the Orc Underground in one of the basements.
And I'm sure it's legitimate and above board.
It definitely wasn't.
No, okay. Well, in terms of running said shadows, what else have we not covered?
Well, we've got the different types, the archetypes that you generally fall into. We've got how the hardship of running the shadows is. We got what started running the shadows. Thank you, as technology, once more. And we've got the retirement plan of running the shadows.
Big air quotes on that one. Yep.
Bigger quotes of that. I guess the only aspect we haven't really covered is law, but it's a criminal activity anyway. You are living criminals. So if you get caught, it's really bad.
That tracks.
Yeah, there's no trial. They can do whatever they want with you because you're not a citizen. I don't even know what you would be classified as.
It's just straight up Judge Judy and Executioner.
I love that reference.
Wow. Judge Judy's new show in the Sixth World.
I would love if there was like a Judge Judy equivalent in the Sixth World, and she's just like, well, you're obviously a Shadowrunner, and I find you guilty. And then she just pulls out a gun and just shoots the dude. Next case, bring him in. Like, just
stop wasting my time.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
My
God.
That would be a show to watch. I'm just saying. That's primetime television right there, is what that is.
Ratings through the roof. Call
Oh
Horizon.
my-
Let's get this started.
I just realized that we found an ad.
Hey, you know,
Judge Judy and Execution.
Judge Judy, comma, and Executioner.
Oh my god.
Now is it and executioner, like executioner's a person, or is it Judge Judy, comma, and executioner?
And Executioner. I like to think that Executioner is a person, but she still carries out she still carries it out herself.
So she's doing the judging, right?
Yes.
In the
Yeah.
robes and everything. And at the end where she bangs the gavel, it's like, I find you guilty. She ducks her head under the desk, puts the hood on.
Slips the hood on, and just pops back up.
Hey, it's me. I'm a completely different person.
Wait, where'd this guy come from? Oh god. Yeah, no, that's yeah, Executioner would be the name of the bailiff, but it would be an ironic name because she still does it herself. I like
Takes
that.
the law into her own hands, you know.
No, she's been given the full power of the law, Tyler. She
Oh,
doesn't take
that's
it-
even more
she's-
terrifying.
She's just enforcing it. She's not taking it into her own hands. She's been given it.
She's just enforcing it
Yep.
from the branch of Lone Star.
Oh yes, it would have to be like
It's
that. Would
definitely
have
a Lone
to...
Star show.
Oh,
It's definitely a
man.
Lone Star show. Yeah, you put in the expressway for the death penalty.
Expressway.
I imagine that if Lone Star owned like a TV network like that, that they would that it would be equivalent to like, God, I can't think of the name of it. There's like the hardcore conservative news network that we have that's like finally getting canceled because it's got removed off of a bunch of like cable channels, but it's like One America News Network or whatever.
Oh my.
Like OAN.
Okay.
It's like, I imagine that if Lone Star ran a TV channel in the Sixth World, it would be like the equivalent of OAN, where it's just like, are your children safe from the metas? Tune in at 6 p.m. and find out how you can keep them safer. Like that's where that ad that you guys made for Ares would air as well. Like the selling
I don't know.
handguns and everything.
I like to think that Lone Star is definitely more of like a Lone Ranger, where the marshals type thing, less against
Not utilitarian.
less against working against meta humanity.
Fingers crossed.
I mean, the cost does have a bad rep to start, but they get better.
I've
Yeah.
seen
They
their
get
flag.
better as time goes on.
Yeah.
It's so easy. I've seen their flag. All right,
Look,
don't you try to lie to me.
I think in 6th edition they're in the works of replacing it. But yeah, I see your point. I do see your point. But that's all of the cost. That's not just loans. That's not just Lone Star.
That's true. That would definitely just be all of the costs. Yeah, I think if you looked at the demographic of who was watching Judge Judy and Executioner, it would probably be a pretty big show in the costs. I think that's an appropriate claim there.
There have been TV shows in the Sixth World that have tried to sneak in a reporter and disguise them as a runner.
Yes.
And they follow a Shadowrun team, and then
I really hope that it's like the Sixth World equivalent of like Geraldo Rivera with like his giant mustache and a trench coat. And he walks into a bar and he's like, so I'm just trying to see if I could get any leads on running in shadows, if you catch my drift.
News anchors trying to get in on the shadows.
Oh hell yeah.
There's an actual show, I think it was actually called Runner,
Appropriate.
where they try and follow a Shadowrun team around, and they're recording and doing interviews and everything.
I mean, that sounds kind of exciting. Assuming that they're going to like war zones, or like not war zones, but you know, like gunfights, subterfuge.
Mm-hmm. Or gang warfare thing.
Yeah.
I imagine that like every one-on-one interview of that is like the like shadowed outline with like the garbled voice.
Oh, yeah.
we had to distort their faces to protect their identities.
So we were hired to kidnap this dignitary from a foreign country, right? And then right as soon as we're getting ready, I goes, everybody make sure that their gun's loaded. And then Jeff comes out and he forgot his clips at home. Could you imagine? Like, I could not. And we all had a good laugh. We all had a good laugh about that one.
Oh my! I want to see this dark comedy. That sounds incredible.
On a trid coming to you soon.
I like to think that like they had to sneak in the camera crew when they were on covert missions, and they're always like, "Why do you guys have a bunch of cameras?
Where'd you get these extra guys from?"
Yeah, right.
So you're telling me you're the new guy, and these are all also new guys?"
It's very much giving me like what we do in the shadows vibe.
Yes,
Oh
So,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
yes.
what are all these cameras doing here? What's going on here?
So really the way that a lot of these reporters would do it is they would get headwear memory, the camera eyes that also record, and their ears would also be set up to record. So they go on these runs and everything that they see and hear gets recorded, and that's what they'll cut and make the show out of.
Yeah, I guess like having the cyber augmentations of the sixth world would make that type of thing a lot easier to do. Whereas me and Tyler are imagining like big ass like 90s like
You got the guy with the boom mic trying to run to catch up with you.
some guy with like a light screen like trying to make sure that everything's lit properly for him to pick up and stuff. Like,
Hey, you guys, can we start this gunfight over? The lighting is
Oh
just
my
not
God.
right.
I had my lens cap on, guys. Could you interrogate him again? I missed that whole thing.
Oh, what happened to the hit? Oh, he took a bullet to the chest. You can't use him again. Do you have like another
we get
one?
an extra?
You got an
Yeah.
extra? I could call somebody really quick.
Do we have the budget for a body double?
Oh, he has a twin? Okay, we'll just tell him that his brother's out of the country or something.
I got a
We'll
friend of
just
mine's
fix
in
it.
between trids right now, so like I could get him down here. He'll work cheap, you know.
The underbelly of the news media in the sixth world.
Brought to you by Horizon?
Yeah, brought to you by Horizon. So that is what it is to be a Shadowrunner. A life of intrigue for the runners, mostly completely seen as criminals by regular society, and clandestine, deniable assets by corporations. They definitely live in a unique world. The last thing that I will say is, are Shadowrunners the ones that are truly free?
Whoa.
Yes. The answer to that is yes.
I agree with you. I agree. You don't have a sin.
No, you don't have a sin. You don't have like the ties to corporations that wage slaves do. Like, like I like the concept of this being poised as like, you know, a philosophical question.
No, they're the freest.
But realistically, like absolutely they are free. Yes, like, you know, get to decide your own hours, you're your own boss, make your own money.
The only
live off
to
of
travel.
The grid.
the only downside is you have to make that money.
Yeah, well,
And survive.
And survive.
Yeah, well, we all do that anyway. So
Well, we're all Shadowrunners in our hearts.
Oh, we came full circle just for this.
Wow. Wholesome
Wow.
Shadowrun content.
Wholesome Shadowrun. Hey, the first ever, right? In all of the other podcasts that we've done about horrible everything.
We're gonna have to double down next
I don't know,
episode.
man. Talking about those super toilets was pretty wholesome in the day-to-day life.
Oh boy, there was a hole, all right.
Oh yeah,
that was some hole.
That was
Mhm.
recorded by Horizon, brought to you
In 4K.
in 4K.
Coming to a trade near you.
Experience our new SimSense toilet.
Oh, be the toilet.
Oh no. The Trid has gone too far. The Matrix has gone too far.
Oh man. Don't just watch the toilet. Be the toilet.
Your Matrix icon is just a talking toilet.
Oh my god.
If we're gonna, excuse me, but if we're gonna continue this conversation, I must insist you take a seat. He opens his mouth. Oh, good times. Good
The
times.
wonderful life of Deckers, everyone.
This is what it is to live in the sixth.
Whoever's
world.
editing is definitely faded out to us talking about toilets.
Once again, we've come full circle.
Cue the heartwarming music.
Heartwarming music, yeah. What a way to end. Fantastic.